the funny thing is that I actually put both of those things, right? Fitness and faith. I put both of those things in the same category because they both have, they're both like a similar walk, if that makes sense. They both have a very similar outcome in terms of what it teaches you about discipline and what they teach you about progress and growth and results, success, if you like, and failure. There's so many parallels between both faith and fitness that I think make both of those two things pillars of overcoming trauma, you know, in this case, overcoming divorce, but overcoming trauma in general. I think both of those two things are highly important factors, right? So if we take fitness, for example, now fitness is great on more than just the body, as you know, right? It's a real mental thing. It's something that really does something to your mind. It releases endorphins, so there's a good feeling that follows a workout, for example. But also, it's just something about the discipline to exercise your body that also leaves you with a sense of fulfillment and a sense of success. And the reason why that is important is because that's something that you repeat over time. With your fitness, for example, there's nothing that you can do one time to get it right and like leave it, you know? So it's not like I go to the gym and then I leave the gym and we go, right, job done, you know, see you in 10 years or never see you again, I made it. No, it's like an ongoing thing. And actually what's interesting about that is the more you get into something like your fitness, whilst it is ongoing, it's like you find yourself also pushing yourself to new disciplines, right? To pushing yourself to new boundaries. And so, and it's very, very, very similar when it comes to faith. It's very, very similar, you know, and I'll give you some instant parallels, right? So day one in the gym, you go, you feel great, you leave, but you are not necessarily in shape and you are not necessarily fit, right? So you've left with a good endorphin but you've also left not having got to where you are trying to get to. Same thing with your faith, I think, right? There is a moment where if you're new to it, wonderful, it's going to feel good. You're going to probably introduce yourself to new psychological and obviously spiritual experiences just by being on that journey, right? But if you're new to it, it's a feeling that essentially is wonderful to start, and then what happens is you realize this is going to take more discipline than just a lip service, right? This is not something I can just go, hey, I did it, quick insta moment of me doing it, now here's the results of me having done it the one time, you know? And that is probably one of the things I had to learn and relearn about my faith in particular, is that it's something that I have to do again. And my faith has become stronger, partly through some of the things I've been through, right? Some of the things that I have had to struggle with, those things in particular, strangely enough, have built my faith. Now, again, if I do the comparison between that and fitness, it's the exact same thing that you're experiencing in the gym. You know, those weights that you are struggling with, those are the same weights that are making you a stronger person from the mere fact that you are struggling with those weights in the present. Do you see what I mean? So your future will be stronger because of something you are suffering now. Now, of course, in the gym, it's slightly different because you could argue that you go there for that exact reason, right? You put yourself through that. With certain things that relate to your faith, you aren't necessarily putting yourself through them. And in fact, many things you aren't putting yourself through. But when you consider faith like a muscle, it becomes something that you have to exercise when things are tough, when things are hard, when things are challenging. And actually, interestingly enough, faith is often exercised mostly when you do go through something, right? So people that often have what I consider to be like solid faith. Jesus said like size of a mustard seed, so do with that what you will, right? It's oftentimes because they've been through something. They have been through many things that have at times challenged their faith, right? Challenged their strength, challenged their ability to lean on themselves. And I think for me, that's one thing that's key about my faith, is that it really isn't something that I'm like making up, and it's not something that I would impose upon you either, because I can't tell you about the things I have felt. Do you know what I mean? I can use expressive language and I can try to convey a sense of meaning to you. But again, if I were to try and sell you on faith, something that you could just kind of, go get what I've got, it's like really and truly, this is something you have to do for you. You really have to go for this for yourself, because for me, it's something tangible, right? When I hit hard times, and I'm not saying I like them, I really, really dislike hard times, but when I hit hard times, it's like I've got this muscle that just kicks in. It's called my faith. Now, at times it wavers, and at times it's like, come on, man, this ain't right, or whatever. But every time it's tested, it becomes stronger. And that's the resolve of it, And again, that's where I draw the comparison back to fitness, because every time I test it, it gets stronger. And whilst I'm not trying to become a stronger person through hard times, it's obviously hard times that make someone stronger. And so therefore, your resilience comes from going through hard times, struggling under heavy weight, and yet applying a muscle that, although may struggle under that weight, is still going to eventually lift it off of you, right? Lift it off of you. And with faith, the only difference is that you don't know how it's going to be lifted, but you can guarantee that it's going to be lifted. Now, once it's lifted, that's an opportunity for you to reflect and actually go, my faith is now stronger, right? And so also what happens is, the reason why faith is now becoming this thing that has life, this organic thing that has life, is because it now refers back to something you went through, something it dealt with, something it did lift off you in your past. And now it looks at a present challenge and it goes, okay, maybe I can handle that. So what that means is, even again, when I head to the gym, and I could go to any gym, a gym I've never been to before, I can look at the weight bench, I can look at the rack, and I can go, all right, 2 kg, 5 kg heavier, but I know I can bang a 10 set on just slightly lighter weight. So you're damn right I'm going to be lifting at least 3 or 4 of those. Do you know what I mean? And if that's my starting point, if that's all I can get through, then that's what we do. But we do one at a time. And that's the thing about faith and the thing about reps. You can't be on rep 10 before you've done rep 1. Right? And I think in this world, we're all trying to get to rep 10 and what that looks like. But the truth of the matter is that to get to rep 10, you've burned through 9 other reps, burned through them. Right? And the same thing applies to your faith. Your faith sometimes feels like it's being challenged, pushed, maybe not even existent. I'll be real. Sometimes it's like, it can be so, do I have faith if this is how I really feel? But again, if I'm being honest, that again is also part of it. It's part of building, and yes, I do. Reestablishing. These things are really important. And, if I may, it's the same thing in the gym. Do I have the strength to lift that weight? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Now, lastly, the last thing I'll say, and I think this is something that's just come to mind now, but I think it's quite important. When you get to a place in the gym where the weight is too heavy, most people introduce what's known as a spot, right? So somebody that's going to come alongside you and help you lift that weight that you now physically can't lift. And that is the one thing that I would say separates faith from the gym, right? It's not me. Faith is my spot, right? It is my spotter. It is the thing that comes along when I am without strength, lifts up that weight even though it may feel like it's crushing me, I'm not dying. I'm not dead, right? So it's active, it's present, and it's substantial. And what I'd say is that if you don't have it, go find it. Go find it. It's something to seek out. It really, really is. You know, the spirit is a really vibrant and important part of us, and we must address it just like we do the body, the temple in which the spirit lives. You know, both must be engaged, both must be disciplined, and I think the more that you do that, the stronger both of those things become.